So here we go. So, Josh, the Josh Caterer trio stuff is really great. How did this come together? Kind of tell me the story about what made this happen.
It really was the pandemic that made it happen. In 2020, everything was shut down and all of the Smoking Popes gigs had been canceled. And I was just itching to play some music. And I saw that the Hideout in Chicago was doing these virtual shows. They were pretty quick to get on that. They kind of adapted pretty quickly to providing regular online content with the virtual shows, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I decided I should try to see if I could do one of those, but that it would also give me an opportunity to play with some other musicians that I don't normally get a chance to play with. And so I thought of my friends John Perrin and John San Juan, both of whom are in other bands that I've played with and have been on bills with the Popes over the years. But so I've admired these guys as musicians and just I like them as people, but I've never been in a band with them. So I've never played with them. So I called them up and said, guys, could we figure something out where we would be able to get together and make music safely? Does anybody have a practice space big enough where we could be more than 6 feet apart while we're playing? And the answer was yes. So we got together at John Perrin's practice space and just started working on some stuff. And it turned into the Hideout sessions. But the great thing about sort of reinterpreting existing music like we're doing on these projects is that you can do more of it in a shorter period of time. For me, the writing process is what takes the longest. So this was, a combination of cover songs from other people and sort of reworked versions of my own songs that I've already recorded. So the material is already there. All we have to do is get together and find new arrangements for it, which is a fun process unto itself. But that's kind of what this band has been all about thus far.
And was the plan to just do the one Hideout show and then kind of leave it there, or was it always an open-ended project?
When we started working on the Hideout one, I initially, it was just let's do this one. But I think the more we worked on it and the more we prepared material for the Hideout sessions, the more it became obvious even to me that there was more than one album's worth of material to be had, because we're just sorting through these songs, trying to find ones that work for us. But the era of songs that we're looking at, there's just so much material there and so many fabulous songs. I could probably make 5 or 8 of these records before I felt like we were, squeezing the sponge dry,
Yeah, I was gonna say, anyone that is a fan of the Smoking Popes, of course, would be familiar with the Party's Over record. And is that kind of what got you thinking about this project, with how much fun you guys had making that record?
Definitely. Like from the very beginning, I was thinking of it as an extension of that project. When we did that album with the Popes, it was so fun to work on, and I loved it, and always thought that we should try to do another one of those records, but we just never got around to it. So this was an opportunity to kind of keep going down that rabbit hole of what can we do to take some of these great old standards. Some of the songs we're doing are going to be well known to a lot of people. Some of them are a little more obscure. Some of them I think are songs that I would personally consider very familiar, just because I've spent a lot of time listening to that era of music, but maybe a lot of Popes fans haven't. So it's music that is, at least some of these songs are like old friends to me, but some of the Popes fans might be meeting them for the first time.
The way that you guys have arranged these songs, it sounds really great. Like even White Christmas, right? I mean, so many people have done that song, but your version that dropped a couple days ago, it's so good. I
Thank
mean,
you.
what like how hard is it to reimagine a song that's been done over and over and still make it fresh? Like, what is that process like?
Um, it's it sort of depends on certain things, like who you're playing with. Um, if if I were doing a version of White Christmas with the Smoking Popes, which we have done, we've played at Christmas shows. We have played White Christmas in our set, but it's different than the version I just recorded, because the Smoking Popes have a different musical personality just based on what happens when that combination of musicians gets together. And this combo that I'm playing with right now with John Perrin and John San Juan, like those guys are different kinds of musicians than the Popes are. These guys have a lot more familiarity with more experimental kinds of music, and they have kind of a jazzier style. Not to say that the stuff sounds like jazz, but they're more they're kind of more experienced with like improvisational, exploratory type of music over a variety of genres. Whereas I think the Pope's stuff is kind of a little bit locked into a certain style that we've developed over the years, that it doesn't, I don't think it would make sense for the Popes to try to make an album that was in a completely different style than anything that we've made before, because if it's going to be that different, just call it something else, which is sort of what is happening here. But my approach to arranging White Christmas was with these guys in mind, knowing that like we could take a different rhythmic approach and kind of do musical textures that wouldn't usually get approached in the Popes.
Plastic pieces falling down the chute, and I am counting them like trees. Everything's green through the tinted window of the train up to Racine.
What was it like playing a show to no crowd, and then on top of that, knowing that you were going to record it as an album? I mean, did you almost feel like you had to hold back a little bit as far as like playing live, so that the recording didn't have any, when you play live, things kind of can change around a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying, but it wasn't a matter of holding back. On the contrary, I think it was a matter of trying to generate within ourselves some kind of simulation of the energy that normally would accompany a live performance. Because usually if you're playing in front of people, there's just something about the energy that people exchange, people looking at you, and just you just sense from their presence and their body language, and not just from the applause, but even just while you're playing. Like sometimes there's the concept of like, you just feel like somebody's looking at you, That's like a legitimate psychological phenomenon. If somebody's looking at you, you can kind of pick up on that. And so to play a concert is like it's like that on steroids. And so we had to kind of find that. It's so inspiring to play with these guys, because not only are they locked in together, so there's a kind of really solid musical foundation to everything, but they're also both trying things at almost any point in the song. One or both of them are sprinkling a little something extra into the cracks of the song, to kind of make it more interesting and more expressive. And just to hear that going on while I'm singing and playing is very exciting and very inspiring. I love it.
You're coming, of course, to Milwaukee on December 18th to the back room at Colectivo. And this is part of a string of what you're calling holiday soiree shows. What can the audience expect from these? Are there going to be a lot of Christmas songs? Just a few? And what do you, or I don't want to give too much away, I guess, but kind of what are your plans?
Well, I think that's a perfectly valid question. People want to know what they're signing up for when they come to these shows. You can expect a few Christmas songs. We're not gonna overdo it so that you feel like you've attended a church service or something like that. But we will be sort of sprinkling just a few holiday selections into the set, but it's going to be mostly songs from the Hideout sessions and the Space sessions, with a couple other surprises in there as well, because our friends, the Sunshine Boys, are playing with us on all three shows. And we are planning to do some kind of collaboration with them. We haven't even completely worked that out yet, but at some point, members of the Sunshine Boys will get up with us and we'll play something together.
So once the string of shows are completed, as far as the trio goes, do you have any plans for the future that you can get into?
Well, we've got some tour dates in February that we're going to be announcing pretty soon. That's going to include a run of shows in Texas and California. I can't, share specific dates and locations at this time, but it'll be great to get out there on the road in February. And as far as other recording projects, I have started writing some things for this band. And I don't know exactly what shape that's going to take, but I do know that whatever the next phase is, it's going to include new original material.
And the Space sessions, is that going to get pressed and released like the Hideout sessions did?
Yeah. So the actual release date for this record is in December, but there's a delay on vinyl production. Everybody is experiencing this. It's like an industry-wide thing. Mm-hmm. You're waiting on your vinyl, and you're not sure how long it's going to take. It's basically Adele's fault. She completely hijacked the vinyl production industry with her latest album, and so everybody else has to wait now because it was so important for all of us to have Adele's new album on vinyl. Worth the sacrifice, wasn't it?
If you wouldn't mind, what are some of your favorite records from the past year? Besides Adele, of course.
Oh. Well, I listen to a lot of old music. So even the new records that I'm buying are old. like I just ordered. I just ordered a new pressing of the Frank Sinatra album "Come Fly with Me,"
Okay.
and I've been spinning that a lot lately. We've been listening to there's a live Neil Young album, which I guess is a new record, even though it's a live recording of him from the 70s. But Neil Young will hang on to recorded music for decades and just release it now because I guess he's finally decided he feels like putting that out. So it's called Young Shakespeare, and it's just an acoustic performance. Just him and a guitar, and he kind of shares little stories in between the songs, and it's really interesting. The performance, the musical side of the performance is amazing, and all the talking is really fascinating. Like I don't know at what point in his history of substance abuse that recording was made, but he seems like he's in a pretty interesting place mentally. So I highly recommend that record. As far as something new, there's a singer-songwriter by the name of Eleanor Buckland, whose album I like a lot. She was, and I believe still is, in a band called Lula Wiles, but she has released a solo album this year that just came out, I think, a couple months ago. And it's really good. That's Eleanor Buckland. I highly recommend that. And that's about as contemporary as I get.
Yeah, I mean, can you get into? Are there any plans for Pope stuff coming up in the future?
I don't know. There's a lot going on personally with the band. Two of the band members just became fathers for the first time. Both of my brothers are new fathers, and so they're kind of in the parent bubble, and we're not making any concrete plans right now, other than there are some dates we're talking about doing in April, but I can't even reveal anything about that. As far as recording, there's nothing on the books. I just wouldn't rule anything out. It tends to go with like in a kind of a cyclical fashion with the Popes, where there will be a year or two where there's just sort of nothing going on, and then a new batch of songs crops up, and we end up making another record, and we all feel like surprised that has happened, but we should expect that by now. So the short answer is we don't have anything planned, but something will probably happen in the future.
This world is freezing cold. I long